From EPAWA Weather Consulting, headquartered in Worth Whitehall, Pennsylvania, this is Weather Weeklies, an informative video of the ins and outs of weather that affect you most in the EPAWA coverage area. The thoughts and opinions expressed in this video are those of the forecaster alone and may not reflect those of the staff of EPAWA Weather Consulting LLC as a whole, nor its constituents. Now, without further ado, here is meteorologist Bobby Martrich with Weather Weeklies.
Hey, good Sunday morning to another edition of Weather Weeklies for the 2021-2022 winter season. I know everybody's been excited for these. I've got tons of questions. When's Weather Weekly starting? This is a very popular thing throughout the winter here, apparently. And for those of you who are not familiar with what this is an every Sunday video blog that I do throughout the entire winter. It's has a personal touch to it. It's my opinions on what's happening. I also do the long range for our company, so I'm very familiar with the long range patterns, but I do stop at 5 to 6 weeks of a lead time on purpose. Okay, and that's it. We don't do seasonal stuff. I don't do a winter outlook. I think they are a waste of time. No disrespect to anybody that tries and does the research and puts together these outlooks every single year. I'm just not one of them. I have no faith in them whatsoever. Trying to pinpoint how much snowfall is going to fall at a particular location is nearly impossible. Okay, within 5 to 6 weeks, I can tell you. Once you get beyond that, there's a lot of things that can happen. They can make or break winter outlooks. They're just really not worth my time. So as you can see, we have a new format this year. It's the Weather Weeklies format. It was just before. It was just just this part here in the middle, and then you heard me talking in the background. So since I have the daily forecast videos format that I do now, since I changed that. And I decided to do that with this as well, just kind of rearrange some things a little bit. So this is going to be the new format going forward. I will be in the video. Right below me is an advertising spot. I have a placeholder there with one of our current advertisers on our website for other parts of the website, Dieter Brothers here. But we were looking for a title sponsor for the Weather Weeklies videos that run every single Sunday throughout the winter season. And you will be the title sponsor of this video. So if you are interested in this block ad down here, right below me, that's going to appear on every single video. I'm not doing the hat thing like I do in the daily forecast videos, just a block ad. Send me an email to info@epawaweather.com, and I will give you the information on that starting on Monday. I'm not working the rest of the day. I'm off today. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the long range, and that's what I do here in these videos. We're not talking about short-term stuff unless there's a storm coming, a specific storm. So we're looking at, and we don't have a specific storm coming. I have a milder period coming in next week, and that's this 8th to 13th period I have here, slightly above average, and it will be. We'll be up in the 60s again. So we had a very cold start to the month this month, and then we're going to be heading right back to that again as we get into the second half of November, and that's going to bleed right into December, I think. Okay, we're going to continue this for a while. We'll be stuck in this pattern. We do have slightly below average temperatures for the month as a whole for November, -1 to -3 degrees below average, and we maintain that same thing for the month of December. And actually, December has a chance to be even colder than this. We'll see. But we do have near to slightly below average snowfall. Not a lot of snowfall this month, and I think you're going to get you get up north, you'll have a better chance of that, especially as we had in the second half of this month. It gets your first flakes at a minimum. But I think it's really December, slightly above average snowfall we have in the month of December. You're like, okay, well, that's great. What's average? Okay, well, here is our major climate stations across the region. This is what November snow is. It's really not that much. Most areas are under an inch unless you get up by Scranton, Wilkes-Barre. Okay? Not much at all on average for the month of November. Okay, December, it goes up exponentially. Not quite as high as you'll see in January and February, but it goes up considerably. All right, and we're expecting to be slightly above average from this, and it might even be more than that. We'll see. We'll see how that works out. I do think, for as far as these winter outlooks are concerned, like I said, they're not something that we don't do that. We don't think that there's any merit to anything like that, but a lot of these winter outlooks, the consistency across them, because I do read them. I do read other people's outlooks. They're all saying we're going to have a front-loaded winter. Front-loaded. Meaning where everything's going to be happening in the front of winter, and the second half's going to be mild, and then your snow's going to come early, and that not later, okay? It's very possible, but that's a very La Nina-ish pattern, okay? And we are in a weak La Nina this year, but there's no real paintbrush La Nina. And there is one, and NOAA puts this out. And this is what I call the paintbrush La Nina. This is very typical of what La Nina does, okay? And as you saw last year we were in a moderate La Nina. Did we have this last year? Not really. Not really. The central and northern parts of our coverage area last year had a significant amount of snow, almost in some cases more than double what they normally have in a season. So now you're a little closer average the further southeast you went in our region. I get that, but yeah, I mean, there's no paintbrush La Nina. So it was a moderate La Nina last year, and it's a weak this year. Okay, this is what the paintbrush La Nina looks like, or the typical La Nina. This is what the National Weather Service has, or NOAA has, for their December to February temperatures. If you're taking the 3 months and average them together, they have us in a pretty good chance of above average temperatures in the Pacific Northwest and North Central U.S. in a below average configuration. In this setup here, look at that. It's the same. Colder than average up here, warmer than average down here. Southeast ridge is fighting back in La Ninas, especially as you move further into the winter. That's typical. Again, that doesn't mean that's going to happen this year, okay? Here's a projection of precipitation. Above normal in the Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, and interior Northeast, as well as the Pacific Northwest. Below average along the southern United States. Well, typical. Drier, wetter, wetter. So it's almost like they copied and pasted this. It's just a typical... I don't know. It's could it happen this way? Yeah, I guess. It doesn't really paint the picture, and they make no reference of what snowfall is going to be at any of these areas either. So we're right on the cusp in parts of our area for above average precipitation. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out, but I just don't agree with this paintbrush stuff that they do. What is La Nina? La Nina is the measure of the sea surface temperature anomalies in the equatorial eastern Pacific, and that actually starts west of the international date line and works eastward toward the Peruvian coast, all the way up to the Peruvian coast, which is in South America, of course, right here. So this whole area right here is the area of concentration. We're looking at sea surface temperatures relative to average, and this year we're in a weak La Nina because these are cooler, or this blue color here is indicative of a cooler than average sea surface temperatures in that region. If it were warmer, it would be this red color here, oranges and reds down here, and that would be an El Nino, which is the exact opposite of what a La Nina is, okay? So we had a La Nina last year, moderate, and now we are this year. Here, I'll show you that. So here's a weak El Nino. This is where the model projections are of where we're going from here. Weak La Nina now. If it was El Nino would be up here. La Nina is south of this, and so neutral line in the middle, the zero line. Okay. So this year expected to be a weak La Nina, and then as we head toward spring, it starts rising toward neutral again. Looking at last year in comparison, you see it's in moderate territory. See that? This year, last year. So similar that is a La Nina, but not as anomalously low sea surface temperatures in that particular region of the equatorial eastern Pacific. Say that 10 times fast. But anyway, so there are a lot of similarities that can be drawn to last year as well. Does it mean we're going to have a winter like last year? In some ways, yeah. We had an early start. We had an early storm last year in December. I think it was December 10th, somewhere around there. We had a pretty decent, at least for the interior, had a pretty significant snowfall. Okay. Does that mean we're going to have one this year? No, not necessarily, but I think we'll have opportunities in December with that slightly below average temperatures and the precipitation near to slightly above average that we project currently, okay? So it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. You have slightly below average temperatures when the average temperature at that time is probably about 42. And you have precipitation events, guess what's going to happen, okay? It's not hard. Okay, so, but again, sticking to 5 to 6 week lead times is a lot easier than saying what's it going to do in January, what's it going to do in February, how about March? A lot of different things can change that. One of those things that can change is the stratosphere and the zonal winds, okay? So we have an easterly QBO this year, okay? It makes the stratospheric polar vortex more susceptible, or it makes it more prone to be weaker. Okay, we already had a weaker vortex. We actually have a weaker polar vortex right now that if it's weaker, it's more susceptible to splits and displacements. And if it displaces away from the polar regions, some of that cold air can be filtered down into the mid-latitudes where we live, away from the polar regions, and give us this cold. That's the colder than average temperatures, and that is the scenario on the right. The one on the left is a stronger polar vortex consolidated over the North Pole, and that's where all the cold air is bottled up, and you have a milder periods because of that. So this is what you're looking for if you want cold and snow. This right scenario, and we have a better than average chance of having weaker of a stratospheric polar vortex this year, more susceptible to splits and displacements that will allow some of that cold air to bleed down. Now, right now, like I said, it's weak. As you can see here, it's weak right now. But watch this consolidate over the poles, and it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. We are going to get a stronger polar vortex toward the middle of the month, and that's going to be trending toward that. This is actually ending here, right about the middle of the month. So you can see it's definitely trending stronger. All right, and the Euro Weeklies are suggesting, or the European model camp is suggesting that once we get to the end of the month and early December, we're going to see a weak vortex again that's going to be susceptible to those splits and displacements. Again, more cold air reinforcement. And it also, if you have a weak polar vortex, you have a better chance at having blocking over Greenland. Blocking is a cold and snowy pattern for us along the East Coast in our particular area, just because it has changes in the jet stream, allows cold air to come further south, and it blocks these storms from exiting stage right and allows them to come up the coast with a little more moisture to work with, and you get some bigger storms in that event. So you do have and this is talking about January and beyond, if you do have a weaker polar vortex that splits, displaces, whatever, that can offset, and you can throw a La Nina right out the window. So if you want to say, well, typical La Nina gives you a front-loaded winter and then a mild second half, okay, that's great. But if you have blocking here in place, you can throw that right out the window. Doesn't matter, okay? There is no paintbrush La Nina scenario. There's none. And nobody can sit here and tell me that January, February, March are going to do X, Y, and Z when you have no clue what this is going to do. This is a shorter-term teleconnection, okay? Shorter term. This is something you do within a couple weeks. Here's the North Atlantic Oscillation projection on the Euro Weeklies, which goes all the way to December 20th from right now. And that's pretty far. That's the farthest any of these goes. And you have some periods here where we're dipping. Okay? But beyond that, so this is only going to December 20th. That's when this chart runs out. Beyond that, you can't tell me what this is going to do. So you have no idea what it's going to do. If you have blocking, changes the ballgame. You won't necessarily have a warm second half. Nobody knows that. So let's take a look at the rest of this month. So we have the warmer period next week, right? After that, we have another trough moving in. We have slightly below to below average temperatures for that third week of it's the third full week of November. So this is like starting the end of like a week from now, and then going into up to about the 21st. The next week after that doesn't really change much. Still slightly below average temperatures going into the end of the month. So nothing's really changed here. So we're definitely going to finish this the second half of November does look like it's going to be colder than average. And keep in mind that your average temperatures are dropping off like every other day. You're getting temperatures, just whatever your average highs are, continue to fall, so that by the time you get to get to December, your average highs are in the 40s. It's, you get slightly below average there, and you're in the 30s all of a sudden. Then you get some moisture. Doesn't take a genius to figure that out, right? It's not hard. You get some snow. So here's the temperature periods, okay? And this is that warm period I'm talking about next week. I'm going to use Lehigh Valley International Airport here because it is the centermost point of our coverage area. And so the whole idea here is they're going to be slightly above average during the work week next week. Then the front comes through, and Saturday starts turning colder, and then here's Sunday and beyond. You're in the 40s, okay? And it keeps going down. All right, that's what's going to end up happening. And then taking a look at the month of December, when you get beyond this, CFS V2 has this a colder than average outlook for the month of December as a whole, which matches our -1 to -3 projection we have currently, okay? Now, this came out after we made that projection, but it's just good to see that it's agreeing with us. And the Euro Weeklies are also agreeing with the CFS. A lot of people say, oh, well, it's the CFS, it's a joke. It's not really a joke, but it has some volatility issues sometimes. But we think this is the right idea because it has the euro on board with that too, the European weeklies. So in this scenario, in this particular scenario, you have this is the end of the first week of December. You have ridging out here in the west. You have a trough here in the east. You have blocking over Greenland. So this could be a pretty good setup. This is a winter storm signal here. That's what this is. Winter storm signal. And guess what? We have a winter storm signal in our long range chart right there. Not too many people notice that. I thought people reach out to me on Twitter and say something about that. But we have a winter storm signal, very first of the season, identified. That's what we will do in this Weather Weeklies video also, is we'll identify upcoming winter storm signals. Okay? And when they get in the kind of like the mid-range-ish, we'll start examining these a little bit on a case-by-case basis in these videos as well. We're not there yet. But there's a signal right there. 7th to the 10th of December is when we listed our first winter storm signal, and it just so happens to be when we have the Euro Weeklies doing what where was that? I just had it here. When we have the Euro Weeklies showing us this winter storm signal, and this happens to be the 7th. So it's a possibility. And then we get the total snowfall. When we look at this is for looking at going forward. You don't really know much in November. And again, this is Lehigh Valley International Airport. But you get the signal right out here. See this here? This is all in that same signal area. So there's definitely something in here that's of interest. We'll have to watch down the road. We're not quite there yet, but it's definitely one of our signals. And these signals are not a guarantee of snowfall. It's just a favorable period that we have think has a good chance to produce. All right, so that's our first stab at it for this year. I'll have plenty of other winter storm signals to talk about throughout the year. But the biggest takeaway here, if you learn nothing in this video, because I didn't do a winter outlook, I didn't give you a winter outlook. All I'm telling you is to take what you read in these winter outlooks with a grain of salt, okay? Don't just assume just because they say, well, it's going to be a front-loaded winter and it's going to have a milder second half, and that's the way it's going to be. Because we don't know that. They don't know that, okay? We don't know that because you can't see these teleconnections beyond a few weeks. Once you get past that, you can't tell me there's going to be no blocking, or the stratospheric polar vortex is not going to displace cold air to the U.S. You don't know that. Nobody knows that. Okay? You can guess. I can guess. Nobody's paying me to guess. So I'm not going to guess. Okay, so we have the My Pocket Meteorologist program for winter. The premium forum also restarted on November 1st. This is our text alerts that will give you all the latest information in advance of any snowfall, ice, rain, anything coming toward your region with exact amounts for your county that you live in, the place you care about. You can do 1 or 2 counties. You can do, what was I going to say? You can get this for one low monthly or one low seasonal rate. Man, I can't even talk today. One low seasonal rate of $29.99 for one county, $39.99 for 2 counties. And we will give you specific timing, when it's going to start, when it's going to change over to other precipitation types, when it's going to end. That is all included in the text alerts, and that is a one low rate. We also have the premium forum where we really geek it out with model analysis and break down all the systems coming in, all the different variables, all the different models. We'll go through all that in the premium forum and have an open discussion, interactive with our meteorologists on the premium forum. So look for this banner. This is on our Weather Weeklies page on our website. We have this right below the video if you're watching it from there. So I will say it's right below the video. If you just go to our front page of our website, EPAWA right next to the daily forecast video, you'll see this banner here too. Click on it. It'll take you to that page for all the sign information. There is our coverage area. That's where all the counties we cover. If you live in one of these counties, you can receive our text alerts, okay? And there's Lehigh County, which is right in the middle of our coverage area, which is why I use Lehigh Valley International Airport as that centermost point example in a couple of those slides. But that is our coverage area. If you live in one of those counties, we can serve you, okay? Again, go to this page or click on this banner here on our website. It'll take you right to that. It's the winter weather alerts page for the My Pocket Meteorologist program. And those are the areas we cover. So, quick summary here. With the La Nina winter, again, is expected this year. This time is likely going to be weak, though, not moderate. like it was last year, a colder than average temperature regime for at least the second half of November and December. Beyond that, we'll see. I'm not buying that it's just going to be, okay, well, we're done. I'm not buying that. Quicker start to the winter in terms of snow events, but not necessarily front-loaded. That's indeterminable, as I've talked about. And make sure you join us every single Sunday throughout the winter. I'll give you all the latest information that we have at that time. Again, it's just going to be long range. We're not doing short range stuff unless we have a winter storm on the horizon. We don't yet, but it's only a matter of time until we do. I'm EPAWA meteorologist Bobby Marchus out of this edition of Weather Weeklies for Sunday, November 7th. Make sure you join us next week, and I will see you then. Take care.